With thousands of corporations across the United States now buying Bitcoin, the demand for the leading digital asset has increased exponentially and would serve as the gateway to substantial institutional investments, drawing interest from sovereign wealth funds, major corporations, and even governments.
Exactly, like every single government like wants to get crypto at some point. Like look at El Salvador. They were calling it one of the first, and now we are seeing governments not only talk about buying Bitcoin, but literally the US talking about having XRP as an asset class, as a treasury. Isn't that crazy? In a treasury, people would call you crazy if you said XRP was going to be in a treasury. And now we're seeing, it will happen.
Saylor envisions that this development will pave the way for large corporations to incorporate cryptocurrencies.
Again, the big crypto bill passed and, the Clarity Act, this basically gives a green light for corporations to invest into it.
Into their balance sheets. Let's get right into the latest interview with Michael Saylor and why Bitcoin is poised to revolutionize cryptocurrency in 2025.
What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin's the next wave. Today, it is the seventh largest asset in the world. And you can count them, right?
So yeah, probably XRP is like top 100, top 200.
Number one asset in the world, gold. 5,000.
Like it's probably, because 5,000 years head start, but you can literally not move gold anymore. Like you gotta take a ship or something. How can you move gold, like lots of gold with like a plane? I mean, I'm talking trillions and trillions of gold. But again, it's very heavy to move around, and literally someone can just snatch your bag and take all your gold if you're moving it. Nobody can do that with crypto.
Year head start. After that, you got the Magnificent Seven. You got Nvidia, you got Apple, you got Microsoft, you got Amazon, you got Alphabet, you got Meta. And then just creeping in there, you've got some silver, and then you've got Saudi Aramco. But
that's the thing we're seeing with XRP and Bitcoin. With all these institutions coming in, 2022, they were selling everything for pennies because of, Terra Luna Classic and FTX. And we might not be ever seeing that anymore. We might never be seeing, Bitcoin below 70,000. This is just like non-financial advice, but like XRP below $2, it might never happen. Or it might, but then it goes back up and being bought by these big corporations, just like we see before in history, right?
Look at this. What you'll see is that the fastest horse in the race, the one that's actually moving up the leaderboard the fastest, is Bitcoin. 62% a year, ARR. Not for the
62%, little, nothing else pays out that much. Stock market pays like 3 to 5%, 7%, 62%. Again, richest people were made through Bitcoin, and it's just incredible. XRP literally grew 300% probably in the last year.
Past year, not for the past 4 years, not for the past 6 years, for the past 10, ever since it started, more than 62% a year. That's just the past 4 years though. And it is running to the top, and it will run past all the Magnificent Seven, and it will run past gold. And I'm going to show you.
I definitely see it, because as the community gets bigger, so it does like outperform basically everything. Like 10 trillion market cap is not that insane, like when you talk about it.
Why? It's not just the seventh largest, right? It's the fastest growing. It is the most popular in the world. Most popular asset. Bitcoin is spread across hundreds of millions of people. Probably 500 million people know what this is, and they're all very passionate about
probably more than 5 million people
about it in a way that they're not
but there's still plenty of opportunities. Like when I ask someone about XRP, they don't know what it is because they're not educated enough, or it's a new coin for them.
Passionate about maybe Saudi Aramco or Meta stock. It's the most interesting because something is happening every minute.
With some of these payment transactions, it doesn't seem insane for XRP, to become basically currency or like some sort of legal tender. With the fast transactions, right, and zero cost, the government could save millions, if not billions.
It crashed at 90,000. People are losing their minds. Smashed through 100,000. My phone's ringing off the hook. It's always moving. Much more interesting than these other things as pure digital. Something that if you can wire $1 billion from one iPhone to another Android phone between 6 billion people in a split second, that becomes very interesting and very digital, right? You can't digitize silver, you can't digitize gold.
Exactly.
These other things are just securities. You can't even take custody of your own security. You can't trade those securities on Saturday afternoon. So Bitcoin is pure digital asset.
That's what makes XRP so strong. You can trade it on your toilet. You can literally go on toilet and do day trading. You can't do that with gold. You got to set up a buyer, see if the cash is real, see if the transfer is true. Again, it's going to take you a ton of time. And then let's say there's some billionaires selling their gold or millions. They will want to take an escrow fee. Basically, 2% of that is going to be lost. Crypto, 0.02% fee or 0.10% fee for selling your XRP. I mean, that's amazing.
It's useful. How useful? If you need $1 billion in 5 minutes on Saturday afternoon and your life depended upon it, there's only one thing up there that will actually give it to you. Only one thing. People,
I guess it's like many things, like XRP could do that as well.
What's the consequence of that? Well, it's volatile, it's interesting. And lastly, it's global. The Magnificent Seven stocks are really just Western. They're United States, a little bit of Western Europe. Saudi Aramco is Middle East. You don't see any Chinese companies up there, right? And so Bitcoin is very, very rare combination of things that make it interesting to billions of people around the planet. Now, what happens when I put Bitcoin on my asset allocation chart here? Well, it just punches a hole in it, right? Like when I didn't put Bitcoin up there first because you wouldn't see anything else. Everything else is relatively uninteresting against 60%.
Again, what do people like most in this world? What do they love the most? What can you make that you cannot get anywhere else is 300% profit a year? 300%. If you bought XRP at $1 and it's now $3, or you bought it at 50 cents, so it was down 50 cents. So anyway, I'm not going to do the math, but you get the idea. People love money and institutions love money. Everybody loves money. Again, it's not the most important thing in the world because once you get money, you don't need it anymore. But this is the big factor we are seeing. People are getting bored of 7% returns. Look at the Gen Z. Where do they want to make the most money? Stock trading. They want to see $1 million, $2 million overnight. They are not having the time of their life by staying with their parents for 50 years and not getting any stock, not getting any money until they're like 35, 40. So, with the rising costs, people want to make money fast. They want to put $3,000 into XRP and turn it to $10,000 so they can sell it. And this is literally what I'm telling you guys. This is why people are buying crypto. It is easy money right now, but it might not be easy money in the future. But there is a small core audience that sees the potential of XRP. So thank you everyone new as well here and welcome.
You see up there's an answer and then there's a bunch of noise. There's a signal and there's a bunch of noise. And if we look at it, that's 60% for 4 years. And when you look at it against this chart, this makes it much simpler. You have a bunch of money. Lockdowns come along in August of 2020. You can buy bonds, you can buy gold, you can buy real estate. All three of those don't beat the S&P index. They don't beat the hurdle rate. Gold is only half as powerful. If you capitalize your entire bank on bonds, well, you end up with Silicon Valley Bank, right? Your bank goes bankrupt. Bonds are an awful investment. The Magnificent Seven, good idea. Buy the 7 greatest companies in the world. Okay, good idea. That doubles the S&P, right? You can outperform if you just buy the good ones. And then Bitcoin. Bitcoin is, if you can't be Bezos, Musk, and Zuckerberg, and if you're not going to actually buy those stocks, how do you
Exactly. There's no other asset that can outperform XRP because the technology it's getting right now, again, with the government coming in, this is the big news that people are seeing.
Perform them. Well, Bitcoin is double. Bitcoin is 4 to 5 times better than the S&P index, right? It's a pretty compelling chart. You might say, well, it's just the last 4 years. But the truth is, Bitcoin's the best asset in 11 of the past 14 years. This has been the story for 15 years now. If you look at every other asset class, well, you've got one that's up 147% a year on average since 2011. The next best is 16. And everything else is just languishing, right? There's a signal.
Exactly. 16% again is not going to buy you a nice, juicy house that is, the government is really having a huge problem right now with the expensive cost of people having to pay $1,000 and having no partner for an apartment. I think this is the biggest problem that we're seeing right now. Of course, people are greedy. Of course, the young generation is greedy when you have situations like that. And that's where really crypto, blows up.
There, it's screaming at you.
Saylor confidently predict that explosive growth is looming on the horizon, as BlackRock and many other crypto giants are doing just that. Saylor reassure that a long-expected surge awaits. By the end of 2025, there will be 1.1 billion active crypto wallets. The pace of growth is hard to comprehend, and it will be the fastest accumulation of wealth we have ever seen. This is the conclusion of a career's worth of research. And every single chart and piece of research leads to the same
principles. It's by far the easiest. It's not easy to buy buildings or buy, Paul McCartney's music rights or buy natural gas pipelines. But you can buy $20 a Bitcoin, 200, 2,000.
This is why digitalization, basically RWAs and tokenization is becoming such a big thing, because you can buy a fraction of something. Again, stuff in the real world is becoming expensive. Just buying a fraction of something makes people feel happier that they can own it. You cannot buy just like a fraction of real estate. They would throw you out of the building.
20 million, 200 million, 2 billion, 20 billion. And it doesn't matter how much you buy. You have the same exact property rights, the same exact asset as everybody else. This is very compelling. I say to people sometimes, you're trying to figure out what to buy to give to your kids or grandkids. Buy something that passes the Bernard Arnault test. Buy something that a person richer than you, more cultured than you, will want to buy from you in a decade. Right? If the billionaires want it now, they're going to want your Bitcoin in a decade. If they want your Bitcoin in a decade, then the price is going up. It's not going down. You'll always find a willing market for it. 70 public companies right now are capitalizing on Bitcoin. In August of 2020.
Again, everyone is buying XRP right now. And retail has not even fully came in. That's the thing. Retail still has a very high chance of just showing up and swooping the remaining XRP, which could pump the markets.
That number was 0, and MicroStrategy was the first. And since then, we're starting to see a viral effect. This is an economic...
So yeah, MicroStrategy was just the first company, and like Michael Saylor to come in. I feel like there's going to be one for Ethereum, like the ETH treasury. And then we're going to be seeing one for basically XRP. We're going to be seeing one for Solana. We're going to be seeing one for Pepe. Again, it's just that Michael Saylor was the first one to take the cake, right? To sell with his micro strategy, basically. Michael Saylor selling his Bitcoin or the Bitcoin he bought to others. We're going to be seeing that for Ethereum and XRP once the regulation sets in.
Dynamic spreading virally around the world. Why? Because public companies can issue millions or billions of dollars of securities every week, and they can do it again over and over again. So once a public company capitalizes on Bitcoin, they don't just buy 10 million a year or 10 million a week. We went to the market and we raised $1 billion in a convertible bond 1 week. It worked out well. The next week we did it again. The next quarter we did it again. The next quarter we did it again. Last quarter we started to raise $1.5 billion, and then we decided to make it 2, and then we decided end of the day to make it 3. So when you're playing with public company money, the amount of capital here is orders of magnitude more than you would see with private corporations. And as each one of these flip, they go from if the miners flip, they go from selling Bitcoin to buying it. And another example, Mara up there, they went and did a convertible bond offering. Again,
this is just the start, right? So what's next for XRP? Treasuries. We have treasuries coming up, and we are going to be seeing, everything else that we have not been seeing for XRP. Government coming in for XRP, the treasury of the government. So there's going to be an XRP treasury that's going to be private. Then we're going to be seeing a government treasury. We're going to be seeing ETFs that, not just the ones we are seeing right now, 1, 2, 3. And this screams just bullish to me. We've been waiting for that for XRP for years, but the SEC wouldn't allow it. And it cost them a lot of money. But now with that being over, they have full credentials. They have everything shown out, all their assets, all their employees, how much they paid employees, what they were talking about. Again, there is right now a lot of issues.
Bond portfolio, 60% equity, 40% bond. Now Bitcoin's creeping in to be 1 to 3% of those portfolios. It'll move to 5 to 10% of those portfolios. As it does, the price of Bitcoin is going to skyrocket. These are the largest ETFs in the world. And so it's ranked from the number 1 in assets, the SPY, all the way down. You see where IBIT is on this chart, from nothing crawled up on the board. But what you can also see is that with the performance of IBIT, it's pulling, and Bitcoin, they're pulling so much capital.
So yeah, trillions of dollars coming in just a few months is only possible for crypto right now. Yes, you can see it in the stock market, but not in traditional sense. You don't see the same effects.
They're going to slurp the capital out of all the other ETFs. And I don't think it's unreasonable to forecast that IBIT may very well grow to be the biggest ETF in the world within 10 years at the rate it's going right now.
Yeah, so it's just like we are now in preparation stages for XRP and Bitcoin before any other cryptocurrency comes in. So just let that sink in. We are just in a preparation stage before the big governments come in, not the small ones, not El Salvador that bought Bitcoin. We are waiting right now for the big fish in the pond, right? We're waiting for the big sharks, the whales. Right now, we were small fish the last 10 years, but the next 10 years, it's going to be like a compounding growth for crypto. And I'm really excited to see that. I'm really excited to see where crypto can go from here. And Michael Saylor was actually talking about this some more. It seems like that Michael Saylor is going big on Bitcoin, but again, he might be doing other stuff as well, just as BlackRock. It starts with Bitcoin and goes on to XRP, goes on to Ethereum, goes on to these big exchanges. And this is where XRP really wins. It's on the third on the line. After Ethereum, it comes XRP. So yeah, really good news coming up for as well. So yeah, he's literally a billionaire. They can invest any type of money they need, and this is extremely bullish.